Now at 9, how local butcher shops are dealing with a high demand for deer processing. Plus, young readers get the chance to fine-tune their skills with a furry listener at the Joplin Humane Society. And how the Joplin Public Library is taking a permanent step to get young readers outside.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
This is KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14. I'm Tanya Bach. Authorities in Aurora and Marionville say a man is dead after a house fire yesterday. Upon arrival, crews discovered the rear area of the home fully involved. While battling the blaze, firefighters found an elderly man inside. He was taken outside where resuscitation efforts began. Those efforts to save his life were not successful, and the victim, 80-year-old William Medlin of Aurora, passed away. A pair of brothers received sentencing for an Oklahoma murder conviction. Cody Buzzard was sentenced today to 15 years for 1 count of second-degree murder and 10 years for 1 count of discharging a firearm. The sentences will run consecutively. Dakota Buzzard was also sentenced today to 78 months for conspiracy to carry, use, brandish, and discharge a firearm during or in relation to a crime of violence. Their father, James Buzzard, was found guilty in federal court, but will be sentenced at a later date. Joplin police released the identity of the woman who was struck and killed by an SUV in the Sam's Club parking lot on Saturday. Authorities say the SUV was turning slowly into a parking aisle from the main drive in front of the store when 69-year-old Connie Bennett of Columbus was walking toward the store. Bennett was taken to the hospital, but has since died from her injuries. Well, Chief Meteorologist Doug Hetty joining us now with a first look at your forecast.
Well, it definitely turned out to be a mild one today. Temperatures all the way up into lower 70s. 72 was our afternoon high. We started at 39 during the morning hours, so kind of a chilly start, but it ended up being a nice finish. All right, average high is 59 degrees, so a good chunk above where we should be for this time of the year. And if we look outside right now, nearly 50 in Joplin. It's cooler in Pittsburgh, sitting at 44, and I think everybody's going to be dropping back as we go through the overnight hours for us tonight. So mid to upper 40s to near 50 right now. We do have a few clouds which are streaming in with a wave that is centered down across southern parts of the plains, and that will start to affect us a little bit tomorrow with some clouds, but mild most of the week, above average temperatures. We do get a cold front on Friday. Watching some systems next week, so we'll talk about all that here in just a bit.
Cherokee County Sheriff's deputies have been responding to an increase in vehicle crashes involving deer recently as deer become more active this time of year. Sheriff David Groves warns drivers deer are particularly active around dawn and dusk, so be extra vigilant during those times. Drive with your bright lights on if there are no oncoming vehicles. Scan road dishes or resist taking avoidance maneuvers. Missouri Department of Conservation reports 90,000 deer were killed during firearms opening weekend. KOAM's Amber Jenkins found that local butcher shops are now exceptionally busy. We want to warn you, this story deals with processing deer, and we'll show the carcasses inside the butcher shop.
I wish we were bigger and we could take on more hunters, but we've had to turn down a lot of hunters this year. We just didn't have space.
Downrange is just one of the few butcher shops seeing a high demand for deer processing after Missouri firearms season's opening weekend. About 90,000 deer was harvested over firearms opening weekend, which left a lot of hunters needing their deer processed. However, there are some processing shops that are stepping away from processing deer because of regulations, and there's some others that are stepping up to the plate.
There are so many new regulations out, CWD, and what you can do, you can't do. Any deer that's coming from out of state, now Kansas, Arkansas, Oklahoma, has to be completely no skin, no hair at all, no antlers, no bone, anything. It has to completely be cut up into meat and then brought to us across the state line.
Hall says they received more than 60 deer since the weekend. He believes the influx is because other shops aren't processing deer, and he's expecting the demand to grow.
And in the shop he goes. It will probably be busier if they don't change the rules. This next weekend will probably be busy. If it was colder outside, I think more hunters would be out, really, because cold makes the deer move.
Once this deer season ends, Downrange is planning to host classes to teach others how to butcher deer. That way, hunters can freeze their meat if processing sites are backed up. Reporting in Joplin, Amber Jenkins, KOAM News.
According to the Missouri Department of Conservation, roughly 2,000 deer were killed in Jasper, Newton, and McDonald counties. It was a big month for the Neosho, Missouri High School chapter of the National FFA organization. The team went to the national convention and placed 4th overall in the poultry division. 2 members placed in the top 10 overall for individuals. Caleb Lonkarich placed 8th and Braden Selgaby placed 1st overall. Congratulations to everyone who participated. The Joplin Public Library is connecting stories with the great outdoors permanently. The library installed a permanent story walk in its outdoor classroom. It provides an opportunity for families to read a book through pages installed along the path. The first story part of the walk is We All Play by Julie Flett.
You hear from parents of younger children a lot, like it's hard to get their child to sit for a whole book, which is fine. But this makes it so that you can match their energy while also sharing a book with them.
Story Walk was paid for with a donation from Logan, Emily, Reed, and Marianne Stanley. Well, kids in Joplin were given a pressure-free opportunity to fine-tune their reading skills while making some new furry friends. KOAM's Elise Noe shares how the kids and the animals are benefiting from the readings.
Kids in Joplin had the opportunity to read to some furry friends at the Joplin Humane Society's Shelter Pal reading. The readings happen every second Monday of the month and provide kids in the area a chance to practice reading out loud while hanging out with their new pals.
It's good for the kids because they get a chance to read to the pets without any kind of anybody looking at them and being worried that they're reading it wrong or saying a word wrong, and it's calming for the pets.
Reading to the pets can help reduce stress for the shelter animals, some of whom have had a hard life.
As you sit there, you can tell it's quiet. If the kids hold still and they read to them, all of the dogs will just be quiet, and it's so neat to see.
And it's not just the volunteers and vets who take notice. The kids see it too.
The dogs, I definitely love being around all the animals, but the dogs, when you start reading to them, they will calm down and they'll lay down and listen.
This sense of comfort is a two-way street, especially for kids like Shyla Vodka, who has dyslexia but feels understood by the animals.
And they're not like my English teacher where if I accidentally mess up, they'll call me out for it because they're just listening to me, and it helps me learn a lot, and it helps my speech and my vocabulary.
In Joplin, Elise Noe, KOAM News.
Around 40 kids attended this month's readings. The next one will be held on a Monday. Well, the Girard Public Library today gave old books new life. The library hosted a community craft night. Folks came out and created a turkey centerpiece out of a used book just in time for Thanksgiving.
I really enjoy it. I like being creative, and I think as a library we can offer these programs. Some people may not have access or the ability to come up with these ideas on their own, so it's a way for us to reach more members of our community and get more interest into the library.
Girard Public Library will be hosting other events before the end of the year, including a Lego night and a paint night. Coming up, it's National Healthy Skin Month. We're going to look at the top 3 anti-aging mistakes people make and how to avoid them. Your daily skincare routine or lack of one may be dimming your youthful glow. Mandy Gaither has the top 3 anti-aging mistakes and how to avoid them in honor of National Healthy Skin Month.
It's your body's largest organ, but we don't always take the best care of our skin.
They don't treat it with the same respect sometimes as they do their internal organs.
Skin not only protects your body, but keeping it healthy can also slow the aging process. The first and most important common skin mistake made is not protecting your body from the sun. Not only does exposure to UV rays cause damage that could lead to cancer, but it's also a cause of early aging. Wear and reapply a high-quality, mineral-based broad-spectrum sunscreen even when it's cold outside, says Dr. Nicholas Sinclair with Cleveland Clinic.
I think sometimes people get into a little bit of trouble when they're out in scenarios like skiing in the winter time or doing yard work, things that they don't think about as a high sun exposure activity.
Sinclair says the next mistake is smoking. It too raises cancer risk, but can also cause premature wrinkles and facial aging by restricting blood flow, which can deprive skin of oxygen. A final mistake, not having a good skincare routine. Sinclair recommends a 3-part regimen with some sort of antioxidant, like a vitamin C serum that should be applied in the morning, a gentle cleanser, one that cleans but isn't abrasive, and finally, a retinoic acid, which should be put on at night to increase collagen and cell turnover.
It does not need to be expensive. It does not need to be fancy. There are some great brands, and it really doesn't need to be a over-the-top regimen.
Women consistently live longer than men, but now American women can expect to live almost 6 years longer than men. That conclusion comes out of new data from the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. It reveals life expectancy between men and women in the United States widened significantly during the pandemic. CDC says that's mainly due to differences in mortality rates from COVID-19. Doug is next with a complete look at your forecast. And later, Pitt State and Missouri Southern football both earn MIAA Defensive Player of the Week honors.
Well, it turned out to be a nice Monday for us today. Temperatures great as we shot up into lower 70s during the afternoon hours, which, hey, we'll definitely take. That's pretty good for this time of the year. In fact, if we look back at the last couple of weeks so far, you can see majority of our days have been above average. We even had some 80s last week, only one day that has been below average for this time of the year. Let's go outside. Here's a nice shot. Here's downtown Joplin. So this is our tower cam on top of the Cornell Arts and Entertainment Complex. Looking off toward the north and to the east, looks pretty good. Flags really aren't blowing, so everything looks pretty calm out there, and that's what we're going to see as we go through the overnight hours for us tonight. Temperatures right now, we're sitting mainly into the mid 40s, anywhere from 56 in Chanute to 46 in Miami. So it really just depends on where you live. But if we go outside 7th and Range Line, looks pretty good, 50. Winds are pretty much calm. Of course, visibility is looking good across the region. Through the night, we slide back low to mid 40s. So I'm thinking an overnight low, kind of right around 44, back to 59 by 10 a.m. But we do have clear skies right now, but we are going to get a few mid and upper level clouds, which are going to start to stream in just a little bit for us as we get into late tonight and tomorrow. This is due to a weak wave right down through central parts of Texas. It's not going to do much for us. It's just going to give us some clouds as we go into the late night hours tonight and tomorrow morning, but still we're going to have partly sunny skies. But you can see the kinks in the wind right across central parts of Texas. This wave is going to push on by, and then we got them kind of stacking up a little bit out across the Gulf of Alaska into the Pacific Northwest. So our pattern will start to pick up a little bit as we go into especially next week. For you tonight, mid 40s. Let's go through the morning hours. We'll stop at noon. Looking good. Temperatures upper 60s. Let's go into the afternoon. By about 4:30 in the afternoon, I think most of us 71, 72 degrees. So another mild day, and very similar to what we had today. Tomorrow night, a few clouds. We drop back mid 40s for overnight lows, and then heading into Wednesday, looking pretty good as well. Very consistent. We stay into the low 70s for afternoon highs on Wednesday as well. And then, I mean, much of the same, even going into Thursday morning, temperatures back down near 50. So much of the same all week long. 45 in the morning, 66 by noon. High temp tomorrow of 71 degrees. And even into Thursday, our temperatures look pretty good. Then we'll start to get some changes in here as we go into Friday, and then also early next week. We're going to be talking about that in our second half hour. But 71 tomorrow, 72 on Wednesday, 71 on Thursday. Cooling down a bit on Friday with some showers in the morning. And then looking pretty good heading into the weekend.
Yeah, that's nothing to complain about, that's for sure.
Next 3 days look great.
Yeah, and we'll see what Thanksgiving brings.
Yeah.
I think it's still decent weather that we can do that football game.
Yeah,
A little cool,
there you
but
go.
we can do it. All right, thanks, Doug. Well, coming up, the clock is ticking.
The honeymoon for House Speaker Mike Johnson is over. Now he races against the clock to avert a government shutdown. I'm Chad Pergram on Capitol Hill. More on that story coming up.
The Transportation Security Administration anticipates an all-time record number of passengers over the Thanksgiving travel rush. TSA expects its two officers will screen 2.9. They expect its officers will screen 2.9 million people at airports nationwide on the Sunday after Thanksgiving, and that would beat the current record of 2.88 million people on June 30th of this year. Well, the Thanksgiving holiday is fast approaching, and one of the biggest concerns for many is how to balance the cost of the Thanksgiving meal. Fox's Kimberly Quizone has more.
It's almost time to preheat your oven or warm up the fryer.
This year, probably more than ever before, shop around. Don't rely on just one store for all your deals.
Phil Lempert, the editor of SupermarketGuru.com, says you'll see a bit of relief when you go to buy a frozen turkey.
Prices are down 22%, number one. Also, the USDA has reported that over 220 million birds were actually raised this year. So no shortages whatsoever. But keep in mind that last year prices were up 21%. So it's about even.
But what may shock you is that canned goods are up and fresh veggies may save you $1.
Canned cranberries are up, because of climate change, the extreme heat. That's been up 60%. Canned pumpkin is up 30%. Canned green beans are up 9%.
All Face Food Bank in Sarasota and DeSoto counties are loaded up with turkeys.
We have 13,000 turkeys that we are giving out this year.
Denise Kotler, Chief Development Officer, says after COVID, Hurricane Ian, and inflation, need continues to grow.
We are exceeding every projection we thought to the number of people and our neighbors that we're helping this year, especially families and children.
And for those who can't afford the extra costs, All Face Food Bank is making sure no one goes without.
Everyone should have food throughout the holiday season, and that's why we are here.
Well, Thanksgiving leftovers are often the meal gifts that keep on giving, but how long is safe to refrigerate them once the holiday is over? Some federal food safety and nutrition experts are sharing some good guidance. Refrigerate perishable meat and poultry within 2 hours out of the fridge or being cooked. One expert says stick to the 4-day rule if you don't remember when you cooked it, and throw it out just to be safe. Up next, our very own Dow Quick spent his morning reading to local kids. We're going to tell you what they talked about after. We get to hear his voice all the time, but these kiddos got a surprise today when KOAM's own Dow Quick sat in for story time. Dow read to students in Miss Taylor and Miss Chelsea's classes at the Family Resource Center in Pittsburgh. After story time, he talked with the kids and asked them to tell him all about what makes them happy. 30 more minutes of news, weather, and sports is coming your way. Why a hospital in Gaza is becoming the focus of humanitarian efforts during the war between Israel and Hamas. Plus, Congress is up against the clock once again as they try to pass another government funding bill before the end of the week.
You're watching the 4 states' most watched news.
This is KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14. I'm Tanya Bach. Israeli troops are pushing deeper into Gaza as the 38th day of fighting ends. It comes as Hezbollah ramps up attacks in northern Israel. Fox News correspondent Alex Hogan has the latest.
Fighting escalating along the Israel-Lebanon border. Israeli Defense Forces say fighter jets struck a number of Hezbollah weapons compounds and military infrastructure on Monday. It comes after one of the most violent days there since the start of the war. Hezbollah militants launching missiles over the weekend, killing one Israeli and injuring several others.
What Hezbollah really has, and where they would have something of an advantage, is the 130,000 rockets and missiles that have a greater range, more precision, and more lethality than what Hamas has.
Back in the Gaza Strip, Israeli airstrikes are supporting ground troops operating in northern Gaza. Thousands of Palestinians are fleeing to shelters in the region as fighting ramps up around hospitals, which Israel says are Hamas strongholds.
It is Hamas that has embedded itself under the hospital with floors and floors and floors of weaponry. It's essentially a terrorist base under the hospital.
The World Health Organization says electricity has been out for days at the Al-Shifa hospital. Israel says that Hamas refused its fuel deliveries to that facility over the weekend, something that Hamas denies. The UN Agency for Palestinian Refugees warns without more aid, the group will no longer be able to resupply hospitals or provide drinking water.
50 or 60 or 70 trucks per day today, with that level of destruction, compared to 500 trucks before the war, is really very little.
Israel says that its forces will help evacuate babies from Al-Shifa, but the hospital says that has not happened yet. In northern Israel, Alex Hogan, Fox News.
The U.S. releases video of a reported airstrike on a weapons storage facilities in Syria. The U.S. military has carried out a number of strikes in Syria in recent days in retaliation for dozens of attacks against U.S. and coalition troops in Iraq and Syria. U.S. officials and the Pentagon say 2 U.S. missiles struck a training location and a weapons facility used by Iran-backed groups in Syria. Well, the showdown continues on Capitol Hill. It's unclear whether a new speaker at the helm will help Congress get through the gridlock. Fox News senior congressional correspondent Chad Pergram is on Capitol Hill with more details coming up.
The new House Speaker Mike Johnson facing his first test, the mission avoiding a government shutdown by Saturday.
I think that indicates the honeymoon might be shorter than we thought. And every time the CR expires, the Speaker's putting his head in the lion's mouth.
The Louisiana Republican proposed a 2-step spending measure that would renew all funding at the current rate, but set different dates to fund all agencies and programs at new levels in mid-January and early February.
Well, I think, the Speaker's plan to break it up and then extend it past December is just that, trying to make sure that we don't get jammed by a huge, omnibus bill just before the Christmas break and everybody's trying to get out and then just pass something.
Some Republicans like Chip Roy, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Warren Davidson, and Bob Good are already opposing the Band-Aid program. Johnson ignored a question from Fox about whether he would need Democratic help to pass the bill. The spending scramble comes as Moody's downgraded the fiscal outlook of the government from stable to negative.
You've got very accommodative fiscal policy. We just ran a historically large deficit last year.
Johnson is pushing the same type of bill which ultimately cost former Speaker Kevin McCarthy his job. This serves as a test of whether McCarthy's dismissal was over policy or was personal. On Capitol Hill, Chad Pergram, Fox News.
A bit later, how a Kansas community came together to save its historic theater.
Well, it definitely turned out to be a nice Monday for us today. In fact, the entire weekend was fantastic. 60s for highs Saturday and Sunday. And then, of course, today we jumped into lower 70s. And that's going to be very consistent to what we see as we go through the week. Nice shot. This is our Cornell Arts and Entertainment complex tower cam. We're looking downtown Joplin off 7th Street back toward the north and to the east. Looks pretty good. We have a decently quiet night as we go through the overnight hours. All right, 46 in Iola. We have 50 in Independence. We have 48 at Grand Lake, 50 in Carthage. Nevada is sitting at 46 degrees, and everybody will back down kind of between 42 and 45 degrees. 50 right now in Joplin. Winds are calm, pressure is steady, visibility is great. If we go outside, we do have some clouds, mainly in our southern counties. Not a big deal, but a few clouds kind of skirting through, and that's what we're going to have tonight into tomorrow morning as this upper level wave kind of rotates to our south. You can see a little kink in the winds, which is right across central parts of Texas. So this weak wave, all it's going to do for us is give us a few clouds, and that's about it. But storm systems stacking up out to the west. off the coast of the Pacific Northwest into the Gulf of Alaska. And this is really going to start to affect us late this week and then heading into the weekend. All right, let me walk you through time. Mid-40s by morning. Here 6:30 in the morning. We'll have some clouds around in the morning hours, and then it looks pretty good by the afternoon. Near 70 by noon, and then I think most of us will top out 71, 72 degrees as we get into the afternoon hours. So another nice day on your Tuesday. Tomorrow night, we fall right back. Mid to upper 40s looks pretty good. As we go into Wednesday afternoon, temperatures again into lower 70s. So we get a really nice stretch as we go through the next few days. In fact, even Thursday morning, you can see we're starting out into the mid to upper 40s to near 50 degrees. All right, day planner for you tomorrow. Looks good. 45 to start, 66 by noon, 67 by 4. But I do think we'll see a high sometime in there right around 70 or 71 degrees. Let's start going down the road. Look at this. Even Thursday looks great. Temps pushing 70. A lot more clouds. We get a cold front in. This is going to be late on Thursday night. So a few showers trying to press in, and then a little bit cooler as we go into Friday and Saturday. But then things start to get a little bit more interesting. Let's go into early next week. You can see a storm system popping out. So this is going to be on Monday into Tuesday. And of course, a lot of people, even into Wednesday, a lot of people are getting ready to travel or already are traveling next week. So we're going to have to watch that. 71 tomorrow, 72 Wednesday, 71 on Thursday. A few random showers moving in Friday morning, but overall, next few days looking pretty good.
Yeah, it'll be, I don't know if I want to get rid of these warmer temperatures. I don't know. It's nice. I know the hunters out there want it to be warm or cooler, but
it's nice right now, and
yeah,
but it's going to cool down.
Yeah, a little mix of everything in the forecast. All right, thanks, Doug. Well, Americans are butting heads over one of the nation's most beloved sports, with a large chunk of the population opposing kids playing tackle football. Fox News correspondent Jackie Ibanez takes a closer look at what's triggering these results.
One of the country's most popular sports could be facing an uncertain future. This, according to the results of a recent study from The Ohio State University, which reveals 50% of Americans don't think it's appropriate for kids to play tackle football. The study found the risk of potential head and other bodily injuries associated with the sport is driving people's reservations about enrolling their kids to play. The CDC classifies concussions as a type of traumatic brain injury, usually triggered by a hit to the head that can cause the brain to move around inside the skull. This can cause chemical changes and damage brain cells.
People recognize the tradition and social status and opportunities for social mobility and passion for football on the one hand, and on the other hand, really concerns about whether or not people are risking their health and safety when there are other sports that one can play.
While researchers say 45% of U.S. adults believe the sport is okay for kids to play, the game is already experiencing a decline in participation. For the first time ever, the National Federation of State High School Associations reported the 2021-2022 school year saw less than 1 million high school athletes playing tackle football.
However, it's been even more pronounced. The decline from the peak of youth participation rates under age 13 is around 50% by the best data we have.
Researchers found African Americans, adults without a college education, and straight men with more conservative beliefs didn't have as many negative views about kids playing tackle football. Jackie Ibanez, Fox News.
Meanwhile, the study also found those who are more in favor of kids playing tackle football usually see the game as a potential financial lifeline for kids to better their futures and an opportunity for character development. Now, researchers say many adults who want kids to play the sport also grew up in football-loving households with strong social ties to the game. Well, coming up in sports, we're only 1 week away from a Kelsey Bowl rematch. Plus, it's the home opener for the Missouri Southern men's basketball team. Brock Baldridge has that and more.
Missouri Southern Lions men's basketball team went 1-1 in the Central Region Tip-Off Challenge over the weekend. The Lions traveled back to Joplin for a home opener tonight. Tonight, the Missouri Southern Lions men's team hosts Central Christian, and they got their first home win of the season as they won this game 92-56. The Lions got that win. Congrats to Winston Desasau scoring his 1,000th career point for the Lions. Vincent Sigmund, on the other hand, led all scorers in this game with 16 points. The college football regular season has officially ended for the MIAA, but 2 players from both local schools earned MIAA Defensive Player of the Week. Ian McSwain of Missouri Southern and Rico Payton of Pittsburgh State were each named MIAA Co-Defensive Players of the Week. McSwain had a pick 6 and 8 tackles in Missouri Southern's double overtime win over Missouri Western last Saturday. Rico Payton, on the other hand, he had 2 interceptions along with 4 tackles in Pitt State's win last Saturday versus Central Oklahoma. Well, the Division I men's college basketball season is now full swing now, as a few teams are still prepared to hit the court tonight. Kansas State Wildcats are home, facing the South Dakota State Jackrabbits. K-State wins this one 91-68. And it was Cam Carter who led K-State with 25 points. The Cats get their second win of the season. Over to the SEC tonight, the 14th ranked Arkansas Razorbacks. Well, they're home at Bud Walton Arena. The Hogs faced Old Dominion. Arkansas got the job done. Arkansas wins this game 86-77, final score there. Well, tonight marks exactly 1 week until we get a Super Bowl 57 rematch between the Philadelphia Eagles and the Kansas City Chiefs. Once again, we will get the Kelsey Bowl. Travis Kelce and his older brother Jason Kelce will meet on the same gridiron once again for next week's Monday Night Football game. And while the stakes are high because Jason has never beaten his brother Travis in the football game when they go head-to-head against each other, Travis Kelce is 3-0 when going against his brother Jason.
That's got to, I mean, obviously I want the Chiefs to win, but I kind of feel bad for Jason.
A lot of people do, especially after that Amazon Prime documentary, Jason, going through his life and everything. But Travis Kelce 3-0 against Jason. So obviously Jason's got some ground to make up.
I'm assuming we'll see their mom there.
Oh, obviously.
And she will have the split jersey again. She has to.
Maybe they'll let her actually toss the coin this time.
Ooh, that would be nice. Oh, well, I'm excited to see how that turns out.
Absolutely.
All right. And you were out shooting some sports tonight. We're going to have at 10.
Missouri Southern, we're going to have highlights for that at 10, so it's going to be awesome. Also, congrats to Winston Desasau, 1,000 career points. That's a lot of points.
Awesome. All right, we'll back with more news after this. Everything seems to cost more, including a night at the movies. But the theater in Kingman, Kansas is changing up how they do business to make it more affordable. Cale Chapman was there ahead of showtime to speak with volunteer staff about what makes their theater different.
It's awesome. It's awesome.
The Kingman Historic Theater has been around for more than 100 years and continues to draw crowds, but this time with $3 tickets.
That's ridiculous.
I know.
And live concerts. The theater's general manager says the changes are new this year after a successful summer.
So we started with just 4 concerts and the response was amazing. People are just ringing, wanting to buy those concert tickets and coming, and we've actually selling out our concerts clear into next year.
Kingman Theater board member Angie Lampy says their low prices and special events don't just bring in swarms of locals, they get people from hours away.
It's great to get the phone call to say, hey, they're driving 3 hours to come get tickets. What time are you guys opening so we can be here? It just makes you feel so good.
It's an effort that's helping keep this small town theater going.
Another thing that makes it special, almost all of its workers are volunteers who say they're doing it to bring their community together.
I love everything about it. I love giving back to the community, just to be a part of everybody every weekend. Working with people that you love and care about, I think it's a great feeling.
With some theaters closing nationwide, the workers here say they're glad to see this theater successful.
And we could not have dreamed that this was going to be the turnout when we started doing $3 movies and concerts and these special events. So yeah, it's just been amazing.
Well, coming up, we'll check out all the new movie and music releases available for you to check out. A government assassin turned vigilante, a habit-wearing demon, and a country music legend are among the new digital, DVD, and music releases available to add to your home library. Fox's Kristen Goodwin runs down the list of what's new in home entertainment.
Topping this week's list of what's new in home entertainment, The Equalizer 3 stars Denzel Washington as former government operative Robert McCall taking on the mafia in southern Italy.
It's come back for me.
Taissa Farmiga reprises her role as Sister Irene to face off once again with the habit-wearing demon Valak in The Nun 2. In the action crime thriller Muzzle, Aaron Eckhart plays a Los Angeles canine police officer who, during the investigation of his dog's murder, uncovers a conspiracy as well as corruption within the department. Josh Hutcherson and Morgan Freeman star in 57 Seconds, a time-bending thriller about a tech blogger's discovery of a mysterious ring that allows the wearer to rewrite the past.
Shoot him.
Small screen favorites to own, Season 1 of the spin-off series Justified, City Primeval, starring Timothy Olyphant reprising his role as lawman Raylan Givens.
Get back to work.
Season 1 of the hit sci-fi drama For All Mankind. The show imagines a world where the global space race never ended following the high-stakes lives of NASA astronauts and their families.
That was unexpected.
Also available is the final season of the supernatural mystery drama Nancy Drew. And for music fans, country music legend Dolly Parton releases her first rock album, Rockstar, which includes 9 original songs and 21 rock covers. In Hollywood, Kristen Goodwin, Fox News.
She can truly sing anything. That's our time for tonight. Thanks for joining us. We'll leave you with video of sea otters at a Chicago aquarium. They're enjoying a snow day. Can't have it better than that. Have a great night and an even better tomorrow.